All right, guys, it's early in the morning. It's about 5:30. Took April's mother back to the airport yesterday, so she's on the way back to the Philippines. She might already be there by now, actually. But going to Madrid, where the airport is, it's a 4.5 hour drive each way, plus sitting at the airport. So when I got back yesterday, after being awake, well, from the day before, I sort of went to sleep and woke up now. But anyway, I just want to talk about complaining because it's a funny thing. I know I complain a lot, but what I normally do is when I complain about something, it's because I already have the answer, and that's one of the things I do work on. Is quite simply, if I'm mentioning something, it's because I've already got a solution to it. Um, it's a bit like we're doing something around maintenance services here in Spain because when I look at the stuff on the forums and stuff and the Facebook groups, so many people are ripped off here horrendously, um, and the quality is often very poor. So I'm setting up a business to actually do the maintenance stuff and do it properly and do it to a specification. So when it's agreed, it's all to spec. If you're getting any works done, there's a specification sheet and everything's agreed exactly what you're wanting because a lot of these jobs are getting half finished as well. Somebody with a driveway where basically put the concrete down. They were supposed to seal it and do these other bits, and then they went, I want another 1,500. Firstly, it wouldn't cost 1,500 to do the last bit anyway. You're talking about a day's work, if that. But anyway, another story for another day. But like I said, that's a solution to a problem. And it will also get rid of a lot of the people that create these problems because, quite simply, if you're doing a good job and people can see that you're methodical, they know exactly what they're paying for, what they're getting, etc., you'll take over a lot of the work anyway, and everyone's happy, except for the people doing the crap. But yeah, I, I was listening to somebody the other day. They talked about complaining, and they were saying they don't complain, which I doubt. Everybody complains. There's no way of getting away from it. It's how you complain and how you put it in perspective. That's a different thing. An example of that is when I look at the internet. The internet was supposed to be in last week. Still not done. Am I bothered? Not really. Am I going to let it bother me? No. Because perspective-wise, it's not that important. It's not even frustrating. I expect to be let down, and I suppose that's the difference. I expect to be let down. So when they do it on time, it's a nice surprise. Now, the first thing is if you're actually the person like myself, I'm the customer. I have no expectations. So am I getting frustrated, annoyed, or anything? Absolutely not. I know that these people ain't turned up. I'm not going to chase them. I'll leave it another week or so, and they haven't done it. I'll ask for a refund on the money I paid, and I'll go elsewhere. Not bothered. Um, but the perspective sort of comes into the fact that being in something like Typhoon Haiyan was a big thing for me, because it changed a lot of the way I seen things. But being in the Philippines generally changed a lot of that. When you've got people with virtually nothing that are happy, you know, they're not arguing over trivial things. They're just happy. I mean, unless you've experienced it, it's very hard to say. But I mean, I suppose the easiest one was Typhoon Haiyan, where we'd gone to the north of Cebu after it been devastated. Hardly any buildings still had their roofs on. A lot of the buildings were completely gone. Every telegraph pole was either split in half or down. It's wiped out. I'm talking for driving for hours. Everything's been decimated. But when we took the disaster relief up there, everybody that come was very appreciative that people had brought them stuff. The first thing is they thought they were forgotten. Turning up alone, they had a sort of lift in the fact that people had come for them. So that was the first thing. Now, I'm not a religious person, but there were some nuns with another group that was with us because we travelled as convoy. They were giving out these laminated prayers and stuff. And for me, I didn't really get it, but like my wife said, it's because it gives them hope. So they haven't been forgotten. They got some hope through religious whatever. This is why I don't criticize that when people are actually doing that sort of stuff, because quite simply, I don't get it, but at the same time, I get it in the sense of if you had that belief and whatever, fine. Gets them out of bed in the morning. Not the nuns, but people, gets them motivated. The other thing is people come up and thanked us for bringing stuff to them. Now, these people had lost everything. They weren't shouting, why aren't the government doing more? Why aren't I, it's not all me, me, me. They recognized the predicament they were in. They recognized that people had come, given them stuff, and they were they weren't complaining. They were motivated to move forward from here. They weren't thinking about yesterday. Yesterday had already passed. Today is today. And I suppose the only bit I would complain about relating to all this is a lot of the media was around a specific location. I think it was Tacloban. And they didn't cover any of the stuff that people were actually doing off their own backs. It was all Oxfam this, UNICEF, blah, 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 all the usual ones with the handouts. They didn't really cover the amount of stuff that was done by local population, because there was a horrendous amount of people did a lot of stuff. For example, there's friends of ours that took water to other islands because they had a water station. You got people that were finishing work and loading up their private vehicles and driving to the north of Cebu. I'm sure it'd be going on other islands as well. Basically, they bought what they could themselves and gave it away. And then a lot of this was also done by private companies. Companies on the island did exactly the same. Didn't see none of that in the media. And one of the things I want to take out of this in a positive way is when you see these disaster relief things on TV and whatever, and people go to you, why aren't they doing something for themselves? They probably are. So just be there. Beware. There's a lot more stuff going on than we often see on TV. But the thing with that is, like my internet, when you look at the internet and you look at somebody that lost their house, lost all their personal possessions, and that person is still smiling and saying thank you for a bag of rice, some candles, matches and stuff to get them through the day, how can you complain? So that's how I put complaining into perspective. But like I said, my expectations are low anyway. I've changed the way I look at things. I expect people not to do things. Now, I'm going to give you the opposite of that, which is what I experience in business sometimes. I could be emailing somebody and message them and calling them for about a month or 2 months to finish something. So, for example, say somebody has some documentation or figures I need to finish a specific project that they're sitting on because it's for them, they're not in a rush. They'll get to you when it suits them. And then they will message you on, say, a Thursday or Friday and need it for Monday because they're now getting chased by their client or whatever. And suddenly, you need to finish this. I put them to the bottom. Now, the whole point with these people is they're often suffering with stress levels that are high. They're often aggressive. They're often deflecting their responsibilities. So like that, if they don't get it on Monday, they'll go to the client. Oh, he didn't bring it to me. He didn't deliver. He didn't this. not, I've been sat on it for 2 months. It's not, they don't do that. They will blame you. But for me, I just sit there and go, I don't care. I don't care. If you wanted it done, you should have brought it to me sooner. I'm not putting you to the top, because you know what happens when you put it to the top? Everybody wants to keep coming to the top. So what you do is you do the opposite. If they come in late, it gets scheduled, because it's scheduled based on when it come in, not when they want it. Because everything I do is generally in advance anyway. So if somebody brings it in late, that's their problem, not mine. For them to get priority, it would have to be something they hadn't done, in the sense that, say we've got a new client and suddenly the contract's gone from one we hadn't got to suddenly it's one that we're starting next week and we need to get a proposal together and all that sort of stuff. That's when it sort of gets rushed through, because it couldn't have been done prior to that because of legal reasons. A lot of the documentation and stuff you don't have access to. But yeah, but you can tell the differences. Like I said, with the internet, I'm not fussed. It'll get there when it gets there. But you see these people that are like, I'm going to get in trouble because you haven't done yours. Yeah, have I? I've been asking for 2 months. Have I really? I think it's yourself. But yeah, so put things in perspective. But if you are complaining to somebody, recognize, is it important or not? You know, if you go into a supermarket and you're complaining that they haven't got something on the shelf that you want, is it really the person's fault that you're complaining to? It's the same in the Philippines. You'll find it's difficult to get hold of somebody higher up in a lot of the businesses. You'll have somebody that works in a shop or something that gets the full flack from you and everybody else. Yet they are put there to stop you getting to the person that really took your money. And just bear that in mind. They're just working there. The other person, it puts these people there to avoid dealing with conflict. This is why when you get call centers calling up and you ask to say a supervisor, they'll go, they're unavailable, can't speak to your manager, they're unavailable, etc. It's alright to pester you, but they do not want you contacting them direct. And if you are worried about that sort of stuff, look them up on LinkedIn. You won't find the managers and stuff on LinkedIn, then contact them direct because you've got their names. I'll just say that out there. But yeah, complaining. Don't let things bother you too much. And don't let people try and bother you too much. You know, because one of the things I say to people that sometimes are like really aggressive or whatever, I'd say, are you having a bad day or something? Because I didn't deserve the conflict in the first place, and to be honest, it's not bothering me, but it's bothering them. And they'll go, what's that supposed to mean? I says, well, look at your tone. What's wrong with you? You know, they'll either take it one way or the other. Either they'll take it on the chin and calm down, or they'll shout even louder, at which point they normally storm out anyway. Thanks for watching.